We work with bigger brands such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad, came to us, saying, "Hey, I'm getting my ass kicked by Dave Ramsey. He's getting a lot more traffic to his website. Can you help us out?" We said, "Absolutely." So we did a full audit of the website, worked with his internal team of developers and marketers to kind of say, "Hey, this is what you need to do on your website. You have 12 years of like a lot of great content here, but it's kind of a house of cards. It needs to completely be restructured." So helped with that to restructure it, working them with them, helping them through kind of building a new website there. So that's, where we work with people. We work with a lot of creative agencies that don't have in-house SEO or have in-house digital marketing, but they do a lot of creative work. They might build a website, but they don't know how to market it. They don't know how to drive traffic there. Yeah. And my background, right, I got my master's in advertising. So my first job was in traditional advertising, because again, from a very small age, right, in that walker, that's what I've cared about, like TV ads, right, and kind of making that emotional connection with people. So we're really good at partnering with those creative agencies because we understand kind of how that works and how SEO kind of fits in with that. Because, you want to make a pretty website, but you also want to get traffic to it. And you got to kind of marry those two things.
Hi, everyone. This is Joshua Hoffman and Alex Gerashenko, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success, and in Season 4, focus on how we can give and receive referrals. Today, I have Eric Ritter, the founder and CEO of Digital Neighbor, a full-service digital marketing agency that delivers a comprehensive range of digital marketing services, including SEO, local SEO, PPC, social media, web design, and more. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Of course, and you threw a little curveball at me right before the episode started. And that's because, I know that you're an open book and you have a lot of stuff online, but during our discovery call, I always ask, can you tell me something about yourself that I can't find online? And you did give me something, and I'm probably going to get into that right after this, but right before we started, you said, I had sleepless nights thinking about this question.
That's right.
And you had something to share, so the floor is all yours.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. As you said, I'm pretty much an open book. Everything about me is online. I'm happy to share everything, but really had to dig deep of, what's one thing you can't find about me online? And that's that I have a potentially unhealthy obsession with nut butters. So let me talk about that a little bit. It started with peanut butter, right? So we all like peanut butter sandwiches. My mom would give it to me for lunch at school. And then as I started kind of working out and I became a runner, realized, hey, peanut butter jelly sandwiches are actually a good snack before the run, during the run. And then you start investigating more and researching, realize, hey, there's other things like almonds out there that are healthy, and then, there's all these other ones like cashews and sunflower seeds. And, unfortunately now, like when we go to the grocery store, a big part of the grocery budget goes to peanut butter and different nut butters out there. So that's kind of become
amazing.
My vice. Yes. So that's borderline
I love sunflower
unhealthy.
butter.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, me neither. Found it. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Sunflower butter. I love sunflower seeds.
There you go.
Now it makes me wonder if this pumpkin version.
I haven't seen that yet, but maybe we're onto something, right? So I'm just one step away from buying one of those industrial grinders to make my own nut butters, so
wow.
I'll have to report back, let you guys know how that goes.
Please do. I'm just glad that you went in that direction because it means that you just understand this podcast. Because I think the first question, I'm always starting something like that. To me, I want to get into the personal side, whether it's like real or not, or I shouldn't say not, but so no, that was perfect. And all right, so I guess the other place that I want to start is going back and more on the personal side. Not that it's serious or not, but I want to go back to your early days, maybe when you started eating these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, specifically growing up in Germany, because the last time we spoke, I loved hearing you talk about the differences between, Germany and the States. So can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so my formative years were in Germany. I actually went to a German school. So my primary education through high school was actually in German, which was really interesting, kind of, and almost a little bit of a culture shock, right? Kind of moving here to the States, and kind of seeing the differences, whether they're big or small, just not from the language, right? So, you know, and understanding kind of the nuances and everything there. But you know, some of the ones that really stand out to me from the difference are, you know, kind of growing up in a village, right, in Germany, and kind of having that community, right, where whether you're like at the different, you know, the big one everybody knows is Oktoberfest, right? Oktoberfest is like a big get together for people. It's known worldwide. Now imagine every village, every community in Germany has their own little Oktoberfest throughout the year. And where I grew up, it was more in the wine region where there's a lot of vineyards. So whenever wine was harvested, people would get together, and, you know, kind of almost like your calendar revolved around, hey, when's the wine getting the grapes getting harvested for the wine, and when is the fresh wine coming out, et cetera. And so that's, you know, kind of that sense of community, and kind of that sense of, you know, kind of being together, knowing your neighbors and everything, is something that I really enjoyed, and something that, you know, is still important to me to this day.
What about personality-wise?
Yeah, so personality-wise, also have noticed, or I mean, I've obviously lived in the States here for like 20 years now, right? So, but still, you know, some of the things that stand out to me is, you know, as kind of starting my own agency and kind of as a leader, is my leadership style isn't always from the top down, right? I want to be someone who's like in the trenches, down on the assembly line, and understanding every person's kind of part in that assembly line, what they do, and helping them be the best possible person there, not just telling them what to do, but also leading by example there. So kind of that personality, kind of that power difference a lot of times you see here, where, you know, it's kind of, you have the leader, the executive team at the top, and then everybody's down here, you know, executive team's doing its thing, everybody else is doing their thing. To me, it's important to be integrated, and that everybody feels like they have a seat at the table.
Have you heard about the Gemba? Does that mean anything to you?
It doesn't, no.
In Toyota, basically going to the Gemba is going to the place of work and doing it. And that's a huge part of Toyota culture, and a lot of Japanese culture in general, is going to the Gemba to see how work is done, so you get an understanding of what's happening on the ground floor. And that's a core principle of theirs.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's very similar. Yeah, very similar to kind of what's important to me as well, is kind of understanding, you know, I call it in the trenches, you know, because, you know, I want people to trust me, you know, just like, you know, I'm in the foxhole with them, right? And who you're going to trust more than someone who you've been into foxhole and been through battle.
Yeah, and you're able to see like root cause there really yourself, instead of trying to operate from a high level, taking just people's word for things.
Yeah, and I think people want to work harder for those people as well.
And that's something I've noticed as well, right? So I've worked with several business coaches, and they've come in and they're like, you know, your team is unbelievably dedicated. Like, you know, they will walk over fire for you. And they're probably gonna be listening to this as well. And I think everyone on my team is fantastic. But sometimes, you know, it worries me when they're replying to emails middle of the night, on the weekends, et cetera. You know, and I'm like, guys, you know, I really appreciate it, but you know, we got to have that balance. You know, I understand, you know, you guys are dedicated. And so it's kind of interesting, because a lot of times, you know, it's almost the opposite direction, right? Where, hey, people aren't working hard enough, you know, they're not doing this. Where I, you know, through kind of creating this this team, this culture, is that people almost go a little too far, and I got to pull them back sometimes and say, hey, you know, I don't want to see any emails or any work over the weekend.
Yeah, you need a balance.
We're going to challenge those employees to see if they'll actually work on or walk on fire.
Right. That'll be the next episode.
Logistics happen. Sticking with the early days, you mentioned last time we spoke that you love advertising and actually preferred watching ads on TV than the actual program. First of all, what? And then why?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back to even, when I was like in one of those walkers going around the house, and I wasn't even really talking yet, is I think one of the things that really drew me to the ads is that they're much brighter and louder, right? And so my parents always tell the story that, they'd be watching TV, I'm going around the kitchen, as soon as the ads come on, that you hear the little walker with the wheels coming into the living room because I wanted to see what's on TV, right? And so I was always fascinated by that, even before I could talk, before I could walk. And that's just always continued that, I would sometimes just watch TV to get that commercial break, right? Kind of like, let's see, these stories, just always enjoyed kind of, the shorter clips there versus that long, boring program or that long movie. And so I don't know, it's just always something that stuck with me. And to this day, a lot of times I'm probably one of the outliers that like a YouTube video, oh, there's an ad, I could skip it. Let me see what they're actually going to talk about here. So I'm one of those
Oh man,
people
that is strange. I love it.
one of those weirdos is like, let me see what their message is here. What are they trying to get me to do here? What is their appeal of their creative they put together here?
And the way your brain works, you start deconstructing that and learning from it. And yeah, I love it. It's great.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
I think there's a Japanese phrase, and Alex, I always look at you for this, that is basically like you ended up in a job that you actually are passionate about, and it mixes your skill sets with your job. Like, does anyone, I don't think it's Kaizen, because Kaizen was something else, and that was the other agency that we talked
Yeah,
about.
that's the improvement.
Improve, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right, we'll
continuous
look that up
improvement.
after. But I guess to stay on the personal
But real
side,
quick, just to jump in there, so the improvement, I think maybe where you're going, where I thought you were going is, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Hero Dreams of Sushi. It's a documentary that was on Netflix. And it's about this, sushi chef, right? Who's been doing it. It's like the best sushi chef restaurant in the world. And it's like in this Tokyo subway, like this hole in the wall place where people wait forever to go. And, long story short, his son is like in his 50s and is still an apprentice because he hasn't deemed him worthy enough to open his own sushi restaurant, right? Because of that Japanese ideal that you need to perfect it. You got to do it over and over and over again until you're like really, really good at it, until you can actually like do it on your own or you're a master. And so that's always been interesting to me. I think this is the second Japanese philosophy we're talking about, right? First of all, the assembly line, now kind of doing things over and over to perfection. You wonder why the Japanese economy is kind of in the toilet right now. Just, just a side note, because, you think about like their philosophies are, I think are phenomenal, right? But that's a whole different podcast, probably getting into economics there. But kind of that philosophy of the Japanese culture of like being really, really good at something. Like, hey, you want to be, you want to play in a band on the guitar. Okay, how many hours have you practiced? You can't just pick it up and play in a band. You got to be doing that since your childhood to be successful. And, just bring it back to me a little selfishly here is, I've been refining my skills on advertising and kind of different understanding how to make that connection between the ad and the consumer, whoever it's trying to reach, like since I was in a walker and just scooting around the house.
One more point on that, and it's a fascinating concept. Striving towards perfection is definitely something that's ingrained, I think, in Japanese culture. But what I found super interesting is that there's a story of, in Toyota, they have these senseis, which is essentially their consultants, and they go out and help other companies be more like Toyota, essentially, because Toyota's perfected their processes and the way they do things over so many years. And so the sensei arrives, and this company's been preparing for to wow them from all the training that they've gone. And so at the end of it, the executives ask the sensei, so how would you grade us? And the sensei responds, I can't answer that. I wasn't here yesterday. And so it's not about the destination. It's about, do you have a culture of continuously refining and looking at things to become better, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, because we can all have a great facade, right? And really what matters is what's underneath that facade, actually.
Yeah.
Let's keep diving into philosophy. Do you have any personal philosophies or like fall into any existing philosophies?
Yeah. So that's a great question because for me, what really matters is childhood hero that became kind of the North Star of the agency, right? So the digital neighbor, we always talk about, we have a neighborhood, right, online, and kind of the inspiration for that was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And people of a certain age connect with that. And I've just a side note, it's really interesting that Mr. Rogers, is almost for the younger generation, not as relevant anymore. And it makes me sad, right? So that might be one of my future missions, is to like bring Mr. Rogers back and keep him relevant, right? Because his
They have Daniel
philosophies,
Tiger now.
and yeah, they got the younger version, right?
Mhm.
So, but not the same to me, right? So we need to
Right.
keep him relevant. It's one of my missions here, and those are kind of the philosophies of Mr. Rogers. Is 3 ways to get away ahead in life is be kind, be kind, be kind, right? And so a lot of agencies can deliver results. They know how to do it. We all kind of have similar processes, but what really matters to me is, are you a good partner? Are you partnering? Are you understanding your client, right? And so that's why I say we don't have clients, we have neighbors, right? Because that philosophy of getting to know someone, you're not just a number. We're actually making real human connections here, and we're working together to continue to get better results. And so that's been important to me in my personal life, and that's something that kind of bled over into professional as well through the agency, and that philosophy that we give on to our clients or neighbors.
So I am very much in the same boat of just being kind, and whether it's karma or whatever it is, just like golden rule, a million things that kind of point into like, okay, yes, this
Yeah.
is what we should be doing. However, sometimes people can take advantage of that. So has that ever been the case where, you are going with this nice kind approach, but someone tried to take advantage of it?
Yeah, no, great question, Josh, and absolutely 100%, and it's really a gut punch, right? Because, for all of us in life, you're like, hey, if I follow the golden rule, I should get rewarded, right? Like, I never, cross the street when it says don't walk. And then one time I'm running late and I do run across when it says don't walk, and I get caught, even though, a million times in my life, I've always done the right thing. And, so people are like, well, why did I even follow the golden rule, if I'm going to get in trouble? And same thing with us is, when you give just a little bit in the business sense, there's people out there that can take advantage of that, right? Like, hey, you haven't paid your invoice yet. And like, oh yeah, we'll pay it, no problem. And then all of a sudden you're like 60, 90 days later, you're doing all this work and they're like, oh, we're out of business, we can't pay you. And you're just like, oh, fuck, all that money, all that work we did, we're not going to get paid for it. So that's been a really I wouldn't say a hard lesson, I guess, for me as a founder, is, kind of being able to walk that line of wanting to be kind, wanting to help people out, but also it's a business at the end of the day, and I have a responsibility to my employees. I have a responsibility to the company to make sure, that we are getting paid for our work, right? And so that's something that people easily take advantage of.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I can tell you're not from the Northeast based on that walking across the street story. It's growing up in the Northeast, you didn't think it was ever a thing, and then I remember going to Austin or Orlando or whatever it was, and like people didn't do it. I was like, what is this? Also,
I've
I heard
definitely gotten strange looks crossing the street. Like,
Yeah,
you
we're
know,
talking about like differences between Germany, growing up there in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's a joke, right? Like if you see everybody crossing the street, but someone isn't, they're from Germany, because Germans will wait. They're rule followers, and they will not cross the street until it's green. And
That's
it's
good.
so true. Like every time I go back to Germany, everybody's waiting, right? And then like one person goes across, and everybody like shames them, because they're like that one person that went. So anyway, if you guys ever, to your point, if you ever see a bunch of people not following the rule, there's one or two people that are, they're more likely German than not.
That's interesting. Yeah, Philly, and you can really speak for all Northeast. We are just, if there's no cars coming, if there's a car halfway down the road, I'm running across. So that's fine. I forget if this was on a podcast or somewhere separate, but someone mentioned that like karma takes 10 years. And I really like that, as in, no, there's no direct correlation of I do good, good comes to me. But I think if you keep putting out good, I think, or bad, it does come back overall in 10 years. So I forget where we heard that or what that is. But I have a note. I'm gonna switch gears here a little bit. I have a note that just says, ask your thoughts about the game Risk. Do you remember what I'm talking about there?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think when we kind of did our pre-call, you had asked, what are your thoughts on risk or taking risk? And my response was, obviously, you mean the board game Risk, right? Because I am a dedicated Risk player. It's probably my favorite board game, because there's so many different strategies and so many different ways to success there. And also only the original Risk board. I don't know if you guys have seen, they've added new ways, like where now you can attack Australia from South America, et cetera, adding in all these things. I'm like, no, 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 no. We need to play like the original rules, right? We don't want to mess a good thing up there. So I really enjoy the game Risk, and I think it also is a great lesson that that there is a percentage of luck that takes place in every decision, right? So in Risk, you could have, everybody's played Risk, right? So it's, basically you're attacking territories, and one territory could have 100 on it, the other one could have one, and that David could beat the Goliath if the dice are rolled the correct way every single time. So it taught me that I'm not a gambler, right? So I don't go gambling. Like if I go to the casino, I'll take whatever $20 with me. Once the $20 are gone, I'm done, right? But it's also taught me that you always have a chance, right? So if you're in a pitch for us, and it doesn't, it looks like, hey, we're biting off more than maybe we can chew as an agency. Maybe you would want to fold your cards. But for me, I'm like, who knows which way the dice fall? We might have a chance here. Let's go for it. And we've been rewarded with that a couple of times, kind of going after big clients that, if you looked at it objectively, you'd never have a chance for. So I'm all for taking risk with at least trying to be smart about it, right? So smart with a risk with the asterisk, be smart about it.
Did Risk have a role in you starting your agency?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alex. So when I started the agency, I had a very cushy job. I was a in-house marketing director. And you guys know how it goes. When you're like a marketing director, you don't have, you can kind of make your own KPIs, right? Or your own success metrics. Like, hey, things are looking great. We have more visits this year than last year. And your boss is like, okay, well, I guess you're doing a good job, right? So for me, it was very easy to continue on that trajectory. But I really, first of all, I didn't like the company I was working for, right? Because that's one thing you can't choose. And on the other side, I wanted to kind of be my own boss. It's always something I've thought about, right? Kind of along my path of working at agencies, working in-house, I always take a note of like, okay, I would do that different. Okay, I would, I don't want to nickel and dime the client, or I always want to do the right thing. Coming back, Josh said golden rule, and that's like stuck in my head, like the golden rule of like, hey, if it's going to take us 15 minutes more to make this kick ass for the client, they're not paying for those 15 minutes, let's do it, right? That's the right thing to do. And so at the time, I was listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, right? And Gary V, you got to take it with take it a certain direction, right? Because he's very over the top sometimes. Of like, listen, you gotta optimize your day. You got to be working all the time. You're sitting at home watching Netflix. You could be using that time making yourself better, right? And at the time, he had the message of if you're unhappy with your full-time gig, wherever you're working, find something and make that your side hustle until that side hustle becomes sustainable. Then you can make that your main hustle. So what I did, I was a marketing director. People would always ask me to freelance or to help out with small things. And I started saying yes to those things, right? Of like, hey, I can help you build this website. I can help you with some SEO here. I can help you set up your Facebook, right? And I started realizing I'm having more fun doing this and helping out people that I want to work with versus my full-time job. And so full-time job, right? You got benefits. Again, you got cushy job because you can kind of do whatever you want to right at that time. And so I eventually made the decision like, hey, I'm going to cut that umbilical cord and take this serious and start my own thing. And I did. And at the time, my friends thought I was, stupid because like, why would you just do both things? Keep the full-time job, keep the benefits, and just keep this on the side. I'm like, no, I want to be completely dedicated to it. So it was scary, right? Because at the time, I was divorced, so I had a lot of, I had to pay child support, had to pay all those kind of, bills. It's not like I was a young whippersnapper who's straight out of college, where I can just crash on someone's couch, right? So definitely a lot of risk. Like if this doesn't work out, literally the government's going to come after me because I'm not paying child support. And so,
Wow.
yeah, so still with that, I made the decision to kind of start the agency, and here we are, 9 years later, going strong.
So you literally burned the boats.
I did, yes, I did burn the boats. It's like crossing the Rubicon, right? Where couldn't go back across, burning all the bridges, and only way was forward. And luckily, it worked
Nice.
out for me.
Okay, just because that last sentence, I was going to drop you were talking about luck, and if I hear the word luck, I have to say the same quote every single time. I think it's really important. It's a Seneca quote. It's luck is a combination of preparation and opportunity, and I think that's such a better way. Like, sure, there are things that go your way, but you put yourself in the position to like take advantage of that. So I just wanted to share that. But so now let's get into the business, Digital Neighbor, because again, part of our goal with the podcast is to build a referral network among our guests that promotes collaboration and support. So talking a little bit more about the business, can you just kind of talk about how did you get where you are today? And I know you shared some of it, but what does today look like and where are you going in the future?
Yeah. So we started off just SEO, right? So anybody listening knows kind of what SEO is, search engine optimization. That was my bread and butter. That's what was really near and dear to my heart. So that's really where we started. So we helped out clients, kind of optimize their website, create content. It was just me at first, I should say, right? Kind of, finding contractors as needed, but kind of doing it myself. And over time, people are like, hey, you're doing a really good job here. Can you help with my paid ads? Can you do some PPC? Sure. And so it was just a succession of continuously saying yes to these requests to becoming kind of that full service digital marketing agency, starting with SEO. And I still say today, SEO is the core of everything because to me, SEO is more than search engine optimization, right? It's a right way to build a website. It's a right way to have that digital footprint, to have that presence, right? Because if you're doing social media, people are going to come to your website. So you got to have a good website, right? And one way to do that is by, having a great user experience, which is part of SEO. So to me, it's all interconnected. And so where we are right now, end of 2024 going into 2025 is we work with bigger brands such as Rich Dad Poor Dad, came to us saying, hey, I'm getting my ass kicked by Dave Ramsey. He's getting a lot more traffic to his website. Can you help us out? We said, absolutely. So we did a full audit of the website, worked with his internal team of developers and marketers to kind of say, hey, this is what you need to do on your website. You have 12 years of like a lot of great content here, but it's kind of a house of cards. It needs to completely be restructured. So helped with that to restructure it, working with them, helping them through kind of building a new website there. So that's, where we work with people. We work with a lot of creative agencies that don't have in-house SEO or have in-house digital marketing, but they do a lot of creative work. They might build a website, but they don't know how to market it. They don't know how to drive traffic there.
Yeah.
And my background, right, I got my master's in advertising. So my first job was in traditional advertising, because again, from a very small age, right, in that walker, that's what I've cared about, like TV ads, right, and kind of making that emotional connection with people. So we're really good at partnering with those creative agencies because we understand kind of how that works and how SEO kind of fits in with that. Because you want to make a pretty website, but you also want to get traffic to it, and you got to kind of marry those two things to have to get people to get it ranked, right, and to get people to come to the website and reach your goals. And then we also work with local clients. We're out of Tampa, Florida, so we got clients here. We got clients around the country that we help come up on Google Maps, right? So if you have one location, if you have 30 locations, we help them out. Get found, because we realize, if you have 30 locations, that's 30 different campaigns, right? Because each city's different. We're talking about, jaywalking's different in Philadelphia than in Austin. And so you got to create different content for the people in Philly than you do in Austin because they're going to resonate with different content. And that's what, local SEO is at the end of the day.
So where are you going? That's where you are now. And then what does it look like in the future, whatever time frame you like where are you going with it?
Yeah, no, great question, Alex. So we're really happy where we are right now. We want to grow. We want to continue to scale in a sustainable manner and just work with a lot bigger clients. Like I said, if it's a huge website with many, many hundred thousands of pages like Rich Dad Poor Dad, or multi-location businesses that are looking to have a local footprint around the country with different locations. So really for us, the growth is just continuing what we have. I feel like we have a great product, we have a great process, and just continuing to grow that here because we have a fantastic team in place.
What is your, understanding where you are now and where you're going in the future? What does your team look like? Full-time, part-time, contractors, things like that.
Yeah, so we're a combination of both. So we have, full-time W-2s, got 5 of those, and about 10 contractors that work for us. And then, so about 15 total, plus myself. And then just based on the project we bring in from the Trusted Contractor Network. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the area for a long time. So bring in people either that I've personally worked with or that other people have worked with there. So we're able to scale as needed, but the core team is about 15, with about half of them locally here, and then the other half around the country. And talking about culture, like earlier, like how important that is to me, is doing that with a almost exclusive remote workforce. It isn't easy. So that's been, for me, kind of as the CEO, has been one of my one of the things I like doing is kind of setting direction and creating culture. So if that's making an ass of myself on a Zoom call like this to the team, or just having one-on-one check-ins with everyone, that's just really important to me, kind of with the team.
Yeah, I'll thank everyone that loves working remote, because it allowed me to move to the middle of the woods on a dirt path with no service outside Colorado, or outside Denver. So I'm a huge fan of this push with remote. But again, kind of coming up to the end of the episode, and with this goal of where can we help you and where can you help our other guests. I'm just going to ask you a few questions really about the business. So, what services do you guys provide? I know you kind of shared a little bit.
Yeah. But again, our bread and butter is what we to sum it up as blended search, right? So any customer that, any client whose customers are searching for them, we can help, right? And so we understand, like, hey, Google from top to bottom, you got different opportunities. You got local service ads. You got PPC. You got the maps. You got organic listings. So we understand kind of that full scope of work needed in order to get people to your website and drive leads there. So that's really our bread and butter.
And again, maybe this is the same answer, but how can you work with other agencies, or what services can you partner with other agencies? So in other words, like, what do agencies tend to reach out to you for?
Yeah, so creative agencies are fantastic at putting together logos, brand packets, etc., but they can't always translate it into a website. So they'll come to us and say, "Hey, here's our kind of our branding for this client. They need a new website." So we'll help with the website, and then, can you help with marketing SEO? And absolutely, we can. The agency can still create the content, and we just guide it from an SEO standpoint. They can help with the creative on the ads, and we're just doing the media buying, the media placement, and the optimization there. So we can kind of be that outsourced digital department that they might not have in-house.
That was perfect. And then to just swap the question, what do you usually outsource to other marketing agencies? So maybe you get the request and you're like, hey, that's not actually one of our core competencies. Either white label, we have a partner for that, something like that. But what do you typically outsource?
Yeah, so it's basically the inverse of what I just said, right? So it's the design part of it and the branding part. If we have a client, so for example, you're a startup, right? And a startup might need a lot of different marketing, but it all starts with branding. So we'll work with a partner and say, hey, here's so-and-so. They're really good at helping you brand, kind of getting that brand voice and everything. And once that's there, then we will partner with them. Also, when it comes to sales. So typically when a client comes to us, we need to know their ICP, right? Their ideal customer profile. We need to know their target audience. That's something that we really can't help you develop. That's something that you need to already know. But we get a lot of clients, who say, hey, can you help me with marketing? I'm like, well, who you trying to go for, right? And then you get the typical client answer like, well, our target audience is everyone, and our competitors are no one because our product is so unique. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Let me get you together with this agency that can actually help you flesh out who your target audience is and who your competitors are.
Perfect. And as we come up to the end of the episode, I just want to give you an opportunity to mention how people can find you and anything else you'd like to end with.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Again, guys, this was a real treat for me. I'm active on LinkedIn, so look for Eric Ritter on LinkedIn. And also, shameless plug, I have my own podcast called The Search Bar, which is where I try to make SEO fun and approachable for people. I mentioned earlier, I grew up in a wine region with a lot of vineyards, so I really have appreciation for that, and for sommeliers that are able to pair and partner wine with whatever the food is or whatever the situation is. And that's what I try to do for SEO. I want to make it approachable. I want to make it fun. So on the Search Bar, I share SEO tips and I interview experts in the marketing field to make it fun and approachable for people to learn more about SEO and digital marketing.
Awesome. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you who've learned something new from this episode, please consider giving us a like or follow so we can continue getting the highest quality of guests. And as always, thank you for listening, Eric. This was one of the most seamless transition. You would say the thing and you would transition my next question. So you made my life so easy on this episode. Thank you.
Hey, happy to help out. Happy to help out any way I can. That's my nature, right? I'm just like your friendly neighbor. Whatever you need help with, I'm here. If you need a cup of sugar, if you need seamless transitions, I'm here for you.
We're ending on that. That was perfect. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.